I really like the Nike Phantoms, and I want to show you how many I have. Nike Phantom, 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 and Nike Phantom. And today's video, Nike Phantom. My name is Noah Cavanaugh. I have reviewed and tested hundreds of football boots, and this is my review and playtest of the Nike Phantom 6 High, which is quite similar to this bad boy. Let's jump into it. All right, so moving into the unboxing, you have a really nice orange box. This, by the way, is Nike's brand color for those of you who don't know. And this comes in a very standard box. I don't know why they didn't put it in the Elite box. My guess is it has something to do with how quickly they were trying to get these to market. But needless to say, we can see the Phantom 6 High Elite Limited Edition in firm ground. If you want an AG model, you want to see what the AG feels like and looks like, you can go over to my other review of the low top model. I will be reviewing both of those as well. 9 US, UK 8, Euro 42.5, and a 27 centimeters. Now, if you're interested in any more sizing information about everything in the background, as well as all the latest and greatest, head to my website, totally free, 70-page size guide. You can pick it up. Link in the description. All right, let's jump into the unboxing. We have the special edition little string bag there with Nike football written in a bunch of different languages, which is really cool. Big Nike swoosh in black on the bottom. Get those out of the way, and here we go. Ooh, yeah. All right, the Nike. Ooh, that doesn't look as bad as I thought. Okay. I was a little nervous, if I'm honest, but here we go. The Nike Phantom 6 High, and as you can see, it's got pretty similar DNA to the Phantom GX1 DF, which is interesting. So we'll get into that in a minute, but there you go. Silver in the back, which is different from the low top, which has a black FlyKnit, and then the same black and kind of this, what are they calling this? Oh, they only say chrome and black. That's annoying. Okay, whatever this really nice, beautiful kind of aquamarine, green, blue, cyan color. Let's get this other one out of the box with the dynamic fit. There you go. All right. So the Nike Phantom 6 comes in a long lineage of Nike Phantom models. I am a massive fan of the Nike Phantom series in general, as you probably could tell from the introduction, but this is a model that's really interesting to me for a couple different reasons. One is that they went sort of amazing with this Gripknit technology. They came out flying with the GX1 and the GX1 DF, and then they went for the Luna 2 and GX2 with a one-piece upper, much more similar to the Magista Obra kind of vibe, and then kind of going back to a double layer upper with this ghost lacing system in the Phantom 6 with a whole new naming structure. A lot of people are going to be calling this the GX3. If you comment down below and you ask me a question about the GX3, I'm just going to assume you're talking about these because that's kind of what they are, especially their similarities to the GX1 DF. So in terms of construction, these have a FlyKnit base, which goes basically the entire length of the football boot except for the forefoot, I believe. And then you've got this Gripknit and FlyKnit cover, which they call ghost lacing, which is really nice. This Gripknit has been a little bit re-engineered, so we'll do a little bit of a tester for you guys. Actually, let's do the left shoe. I'm going to take, no, let's do the right shoe. Okay. I'm going to take all of the little paper and stuff out of it so I can show you how soft this upper is. Now, let's do a comparison really quick of the three models. I have not worn this one, but I have worn these two, so just for a little bit of context, although they do feel pretty similar. So GX1 DF, pretty nice and pretty soft for what it was at the time. Really nice upper. And then of course you have the FlyKnit here with this ghost lacing system where there's quite a lot of stretch in this area so that your laces don't feel super tight. And then you also don't have any grip knit in that area as well. Then they went to kind of the open construction one-piece upper, which feels pretty nice as well. Definitely a lot thinner, but also a little bit more synthetic-y as opposed to this one, which feels a lot more like a standard knit model. And then we get to the Phantom 6, which feels distinctly softer. It feels a lot more like The Gripknit feels a lot more FlyKnit-like in terms of kind of sock-like, at least in my hand. We'll see what they feel like on feet. And then in terms of differences between the GX1 and the Phantom 6 in the tongue area, or the ghost lacing system in this case, you've still got the same construction underneath the ghost lacing system, but in the Phantom 6's case, they decided to give you a little bit of extra grip here, kind of on the top of that lacing system area, and then on the medial side, as opposed to just a flat Gripknit, you've got the ribbing from the kind of the, I guess, inspired by the Luna 2 and GX2, and then you've got this little shot shield looking type thing that kind of comes very similar in look to the Phantom Venom, which everybody I know really loved. It was kind of one of the more unique, and it was like the most Predator Nike boot that had ever existed because of that sort of plasticky feeling right in that like grippy shot shield basically. And it was fantastic, to be honest. Nike did a great job with that boot, and I absolutely love them. There's a pair right there in the corner that are very difficult to get. But this, in terms of where it sits on the upper, is near identical to that boot, which is pretty cool. So it's just a slightly denser weave of the Gripknit, and so it feels almost like a solid piece of grip material. It's obviously not, because it still bends and molds, but it is a lot more dense than the blue Gripknit here. So you get a little bit of, I don't know, maybe a little bit of pinginess in that area. We'll see when we take these out on pitch. Laces seem to be genetically identical to any of the other Phantom laces, which is really nice. And then this FlyKnit collar looks to be pretty much the same. If we put them back to back, they're pretty similar in terms of height and construction. Both have this little kind of tab thing in the forefoot, which is kind of, I guess, where people like to pull up on it, so it makes the boots wrap around your foot a little bit better. And then from the heel area perspective, the GX1 has a little bit of a narrow heel area, at least from kind of down facing camera. I am interested to see if the colorway differences of the Fear Nothing pack, this launch colorway, and maybe some of the newer standard release editions will be any different. I think the padding in the heel area feels very, very similar across, honestly, all three generations. So you're going to get that same kind of padded suede heel. They feel pretty much the same, if I'm honest. There's not much difference I can feel. And in terms of aesthetic, when you actually look in the boots, they look like basically identical, which is pretty cool. Now, in terms of the major upgrade, I think the big reason why a lot of people steered away from the GX2 was actually the Cyclone 360 sole plate, which has now been updated. Now, I will actually grab a Cyclone 360 boot for you guys. I've got the Holland edition right here, so we'll take a look side by side between the two boots. Now, a couple things have changed, which I really appreciate, but honestly, the major piece of this boot that was, I don't know, not really that great, i.e. these front 5 bladed studs, they look to have gotten a little bit shorter, which is nice, and then they've replaced all of the middle bladed studs, so, well, all meaning all 4 of the middle bladed studs for 6 conical studs, which I'm hoping is going to give this boot a little bit more stability on the ground, hopefully a little bit less stud bite and a little bit less stud pressure. Now, in terms of the bending test, kind of there's what that looks like. That's pretty stiff, if I'm honest. Pretty decent. I didn't really ever have an issue, I felt like, with that one. And then this one, oh yeah, this one's mighty stiff. Very nice. So that snap feels a lot more fluid and natural. This area right here with this new spine in the midfoot feels really nice. So in terms of stud pattern, am I annoyed that they didn't get rid of the one thing that I hated about this stud pattern, which is this kind of Cyclone 360 bullshit here in the forefoot? I am a little annoyed, but they did, it looks like they definitely shaved a little bit of height off those studs and then did a lot more conical studs. So I will be testing these on an AG surface just to kind of get a sense, because that's where I feel like I can feel the most change between this bad boy and this guy. So we'll see how it goes. But overall, really decent design, I think. I like the fact that they went with a little bit more grip knit, and this does, I don't know, aesthetically it looks pretty cool. I really liked this GX1 DF. I'm not really a mid-cut kind of player. I don't really like mid-cut football boots, at least when I'm playing in a match scenario. For training, it's totally fine. but these actually look kind of sick. I don't, honestly, I don't mind them. Colorway, not so much, but just from a design perspective, I think there could be some really cool colorways. Without further ado, guys, let's jump into the on-feet portion of the video. We'll talk sizing, we'll talk performance characteristics. Let's rip and roll. Welcome to the field. Phantom 6 high cut. It's kind of more of a mid cut because there are boots that are higher than this, but whatever. All right, let's move over to the up close and personal cam because we got to check out how these look on feet. You guys can find 20% off WeFoot grip socks, the best in the game, down in the description box below. Here we go. These are probably going to be just as annoying to get on as the GX1 DF because they're basically spitting images of each other. However, if I can loosen up this second, it's all in the second lace loop down below. Here we go. God damn. All right, there we go. Pretty good. Definitely less stressful for my feet straight out of the box than the GX1 DF. These have more of an accommodating shape compared to that boot, but they feel almost identical from an actual like tactile sensation of the material around my foot. The elasticity of the ghost lacing system feels incredibly similar. It's got that same kind of hidden laces that you just have to pull it tight, and then all of the laces sort of come tight around your foot, which is nice. These are true to size in my 9 US, which is perfect. The width feels really good as well. These are definitely more accommodating for wider foot shapes. And there we go. Pretty good. Definitely more lockdown feeling than the low top as well. That may or may not be on your list of things that you're looking for. For me, even though these have technically better lockdown, I much rather wear the low top. That's just because that's what I prefer for a training or a match situation. That being said, I have worn the high top version of the GX1, the spiritual precursor to this one, in matches and in training sessions. So I will have a pretty good idea of how the two compare. And not to say that the GX2 is something we should skip over. Well, I should say Luna 2 is something we should skip over, but basically we can skip over them. So LOL, see you later, Luna 2. Because I just think that boot was identical to the GX2, except it had a little bit of extra collar on it, which in my opinion does not make for a different named football boot. Absolutely ridiculous. So here we go. All right, first touches feel good. Yeah, nice, lovely. The boots pretty much disappear on my feet, which is awesome. And yeah, those feel very, very nice. Incredibly similar to GX1 DF. Touch feels really good as well. I don't notice, one thing actually that I am noticing, I don't notice the ghost lacing system as much as GX1 DF. Maybe that's just my brain right now. We'll see what happens during the shooting. But I definitely don't feel, the ghost lacing feels a little bit more part of the boot in this one as opposed to like almost an extra layer in the GX1 DF. So we'll see. A little bounce off and a little bit of shooting warm up. So a little bit of touch and then we'll get into some. There we go. Nice, lovely. Yeah, these feel great. Really, really good. I don't know if you're gonna feel the extra little bit of material around kind of this part, like this sweet spot. The GX1 DF did have a very similar amount of grip in that area. So I don't know if you're gonna feel that much of a difference. I surely don't right now. That being said, my comment earlier about it feeling a little bit more like a seamless feeling, like these feel like one package as opposed to like a mid-cut GX1 with a little bit of extra material slapped on the top. And that might be because there is a grip element that they've added. The Gripknit goes now into the lacing area, which sort of maybe aids that seamless feel. Got to get the left-footed shot. Ladies and gentlemen, practice both feet, please. Here we go. Yeah, that's all right. Got to get that ball outside of my feet a little bit more. There we go. There it is. That's what I'm looking for. Just nice and easy, right in the corner. Perfect. Yeah, these feel nice. The heel lockdown in these feels also a lot better than the low top. Part of that is because the collar, the dynamic fit collar is sort of pushing my heel down into the boot, as opposed to the low top, which sort of have, you know, good lockdown in the midfoot, but then the heel area is sort of just there. It's not bad, obviously. I love those boots, but these ones definitely feel a little bit more secure all around. A little bit of dribbling to a pass or a shot. You can kind of decide what you want to do, but really getting nice and then straight out of here. And I've placed the cones in a very advantageous position, about a meter inside where that post is. This is a drill that I did countless times because it's actually really nice as like a, okay, beat a player, and then release the ball. And that's something that is very helpful in games and in training situations. This is like good for outside backs, and I would say this is a little bit more of like a wing play type drill. And then just get that ball either up the line or into the middle after beating a player. So a little bit of dribble, a little agility. Boots feeling good. We'll talk about sole plate. The new Phantom 360 sole plate is not Cyclone 360, Phantom 360. Cyclone 360 sole plate. I hate this, but it's really good. It's really good. And I'm on AG, which of course is, this is not meant for. And I don't like the forefoot still, but the rest of the sole plate feels balanced. It feels good underfoot. The conical studs feel like they were meant to be there in the first place. And dare I say, this, because of all the extra attributes, aside from that little Cyclone 5-star or 5-stud round in the forefoot area, the stud pattern, which you can see here, plus the rigidity they've added to the midfoot, I'm gonna put it out there, this is better than the GX2 and the GX1 FG sole plate. I said it here, and you might be thinking to yourself, Noah, I thought you said the Cyclone 360 sole plate is the worst sole plate you've ever tried on. It's pretty damn close, to be honest. But this one is so dramatically improved. Oh yes, so dramatically improved. I just think people are gonna enjoy this one so much more. So the question then becomes, do you get the FG, or do you, God, oh, this one has so much like, it has so much something to it. So much like power, you feel so good. And can you buy this one for the AG occasion, but mostly FG? Absolutely. 50-50, probably. If you play mostly on AG, I think the new AG sole plate is fabulous. So go for those if you're like more than 50%. Otherwise, I would actually say these would be all right. Crazy, but here we are. So in comparison to what this stacks up against, which is SKX, Predator, the new Tequila, well, as of the filming of this video, the new SKX that's coming out very soon. We saw it on Harry Kane's feet in the Bayern game this past weekend. It's the 6th of July. So that's something to be excited for. And I'm probably forgetting one other one, but yeah. Oh, that was so close. However, do I think that the Phantom 6 as a whole has now been upgraded tastefully to the point where it sits at the top of that list? And the answer is yes, asterisk, unless you don't want a load of grip everywhere. And then the Predator is the best, in my opinion. But the Phantom 6 with the high cut option, I think comes back into the conversation of the best power / control boot on the market now. And I mean that very genuinely. I've now had time in this one and the low top AG model. So I have both sole plates, both upper configurations. There it goes. And these are hard to complain about, man. Honestly, this high cut model is actually really fun to play in. I think part of it is because the shape is now better. So they feel a lot more like natural on my feet compared to the DF model, the GX1. So, man, oh, Nike Phantoms, man, what am I gonna do? Okay, so admittedly, I am a pathetic sucker for the Nike Phantom series most of my life in competitive play ever since the T90s, basically. I have worn the T90s and the Phantom series, which again, it's the same generation. It's all their Nike's like power boot. So for those of you who are too young to remember the T90s, the Phantom series, Phantom GX, Hypervenom 1, Hypervenom 3, etc., Phantom Venom, those are all spiritual successors. Those are the replacements for the T90 series. I have been a Tiempo player for some period of time when the Tiempo Legend 4 and 5 were around, and the Tiempo 9 wore those as well, but my love for Nike has always been with the Phantom series. And I gotta say, these high top models are very, very enjoyable to play in. This would absolutely make it in my game day rotation. Despite me not being a high cut collar person, I still think these are absolutely excellent. I love the way they feel on feet. Yes, there's a little bit of extra space around the ankle area, but not that much, and I don't notice it at all when playing, so I would highly suggest, again, true to size, fits amazing, feels incredible. The extra grip on the lacing system area, you don't really notice all that much, like it's really not that big of a deal in comparison to the Phantom GX1 DF, and however, I would say that because of the anatomical differences in the way that this has been improved in the shape and the lasting, these ones just feel a lot better than the Phantom GX1 DF. And so that's where I would say if you have the GX1 DF and you've just been holding off because the Luna 2 was not your vibe, totally understand, get these instead. These are a very, very worthy successor to the GX1, which was an incredible pair of football boots and an icon in the Nike lineup. So Phantom 6, huge tick mark for me. The only thing that I would just caution you on is sole plate choice. I think both the FG and the AG sole plates from this generation are fantastic. They are gonna do really well both on AG and FG for the AG model, and then this FG model, I'd probably caution you, if you have any trepidations about wearing this particular sole plate on the AG, just go with the AG model and you'll be fine on an FG surface like the one behind me and an AG one like this. You'll be just fine. Just like I did with the GX1 AG sole plate, you'll be just fine on both types of surfaces. Much improved, man. These are awesome, huge fan, and although they're not anything special, I applaud Nike for Mizuno-ifying what they've already done really well and what consumers liked. Seems like they listened to us, and that is a massive deal in my book. So hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. 20% off for Foot Grip socks in the description box below. As always, be awesome. Take care. See y'all in the next video.